You ready to go, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Day 2?
Yeah.
Day 2. Pretty cool.
He is the one in charge. The digestion. Thank you very much.
Oh, Mark.
Take care of him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He's the one.
Thank you very much.
He's the one in charge. You guys.
Alright, okay. Sweet. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Okay, you are all set.
Yeah. William Scott?
Scott?
Yeah. 2.
Alrighty. Okay, you are all set.
Cheers, thank you.
Alright, guys, so we are waiting on, I believe, just one more group. Because there's another group meeting us in Jersey, apparently, today. But I can start boarding everybody so you guys don't have to sit out in the cold. So you guys can come on, right here. You guys can follow. Busiest tunnel, approximately 100,000 vehicles pass through it on a daily basis. Hopefully it's not going to be that many today. But that's the only hit in the first episode. It is pretty gruesome, but Fox was a little disappointed. They thought there was going to be more murder in the first episode. And for that reason, they ended up passing on the show. Big mistake, of course. In retrospect, the show did get bloodier as it went on. The tunnel, as Tony's exiting, we get that big flash of light as he's entering Jersey. And we most likely, it's very sunny out today, we'll most likely get that flash of light as well. I'll give you a heads up before we hit the end. It is a quite long tunnel. It'll probably be about another 2 minutes before we get to the end. We woke up this morning, right by the Alabama 3. Any guess where the Alabama 3 is from? Of course, it's a trick question. They're not from Alabama. Good answer. Nobody answered. They're actually from England. But you can't tell from the song really, right? If you think about it, they don't really sound English. It's part of their stage persona. They put on these fake Southern accents and call themselves the Alabama 3. And this is confusing to you. It was very confusing to David Chase. He did not actually know much about the Alabama 3. He actually heard the song woke up this morning going through the Lincoln Tunnel like we're doing right now on his way to work one day. Here we are, guys. See that light right there? Right about here. This is where the opening credits start. You see the edge of the tunnel right there. And it is very gorgeous in Jersey today. If you look to your left right there, you see those ticketing booths right there. That's where Tony sort of angrily grabs his ticket in the opening sequence. Probably because the fare keeps going up. It is. Just ahead of us, it's sort of on our left. It's going to come up here in just a second. See that in the opening credits? Tony drives up this stretch here right alongside of it. The billboard has changed since then, of course. And you might notice that there's some newer buildings behind it. That's the UBS building is new. I guess some luxury apartments that they're building. Coming up on our right in just a second. It's a fantastic view of the city.
Nice to see the tunnel cars. Whoa. Look at that. I'm watching.
Some people say the only reason to come to New Jersey is the view of New York. I disagree. There's a grand location. However, at the time when the result of this, the show was a lot more expensive to film because of that. And we'll see, doing 2 shoots on the same day or shooting them very close to the same locations. This would save them money on permits as well as transportation. You know, have you ever seen a film set? You see they have to transport all that heavy flashbacks. Now, James Gandolfini, in real life, he was actually a very shy guy. Interviews. Not very much like his character of Tony Soprano, who is very much loves attention. Various things to get into the role of Tony, particularly when he did an emotional scene. If you take a bite out of, say, a cheeseburger, you have to make sure it has the same number of bites in the next scene. So you have to keep replacing that cheeseburger, and also if you're the actor, you have to keep eating the cheeseburger in every take.
Yeah,
so most actors try not to eat. You'll notice this if you watch really closely. A lot of actors, they try not to eat when they're actually on camera. But James Gandolfini actually ate everything on set. He was very much in character all the time, and they also had great Italian. He had over 28 arrests since the age of 8. However, he only had 2 convictions, so he said he was a very good criminal. But however, one of those times he was actually convicted. Parts company by a carpentry store. So that green stick he's holding is supposed to be a roll of carpet. However, he could not save the carpet store either. You will notice that He is still standing. He's still holding the green carpet. However, behind him, there is a cabinetry store and a weed dispensary. And I'm secretly worried every time I pass by that they're going to replace his giant green stick with a giant joint. It has not happened yet. However, they did approach me when they moved in. They asked if we wanted to do a cross-promotion with them. And I said, my friend, I'm not Christopher Moltisanti. I don't know how that would work with my tour. But coming up, we're going to be seeing him coming up on our right in just a second. He's going to be under the bridge. We're going to actually pop out and cross the street. We'll take photos with him. So guys, you might notice this black bridge right here. We'll see more of it throughout the day. However, basically anytime you see a black bridge in the show, it's almost always this bridge. It's the Pulaski Skyway. It is the most expensive bridge in New Jersey. You see quite a couple locations in just a moment. Sanitation, Tony's legitimate business in the show. If you remember, even though Tony's a mobster in real life, this is of course where he says he works. IRS is looking at Tony's finances, and that's where tons of police start showing up. Past that brick building there's that White House with a black roof on it. It's a little hard to tell because it has snow on top of the roof, but it's that White House there. That's used as Big Puss's house in the show, Tony's best friend. We see Big Puss's house featured in season 2. Remember, he gets a call from his FBI handler. Big Puss has switched sides. We get a big view of that graveyard. It's right here. These marshes we see in the season 5 promotional poster of the show. As he's passing out from his gunshot wound at the end of the episode. However, we also see this little industrial complex featured again in the show in season 1, episode 7. Remember, towards the middle of season 1, this is when Tony's kids are really finding out that he's a member of the mob. What probably happened was they shot that scene with Tony and AJ changing the time. Recently, there is a new film coming out. Ralph Macchio is returning to the lead role, and Jackie Chan is also starring on it. So that's coming out at some point. If you didn't know, now you know. If you remember from The Karate Kid, the houses actually haven't really changed very much. It's very similar. But AJ's high school we see throughout the first 3 seasons of the show. Teachers. We're going to be seeing coming up on our right. You'll notice it's a brick building with the car will usually be parked out here. This is where he'll walk to. Usually he'll be complaining about whatever AJ did. And now if you're a fan of the pop music, you remember the scene where AJ and his friends are trashing the pool. There's a couple of his friends there, and there's one particular girl there. She's about 15, 16. That young girl does grow up to become Lady Gaga. Yeah, she was actually, she's credited as Stephanie Germanata, her real name, but before she was known for being a pop musician, she actually pursued an acting career. We'd like to stop there for a slice, but they talk to the police, so we don't shop there. You'll notice it's on Cleveland Avenue right here, and that's in the show. They call Big Puss's Auto Shop Cleveland Auto Body. That's where they got the name from.
Ducks.
Over here we can see several locations that were featured in the show. So first thing, we see that bridge right there. Just past it, there's that white building with the black roof on it. We see that in season 2. If you remember, there's that episode after we found out that Big Puss is working for the FBI. There's that one particular episode where he thinks he's going to do a lot of extra work for them. He wants to help them out. He starts following Christopher around New Jersey, and that's used as the Searchlight Diner. We see Big Puss in the parking lot in his car. He's trailing Christopher. Christopher has been hanging out at the Searchlight Diner. Big Puss is a little tape recorder. He's recording all of Chris's actions. Over there. There are many saints there if you've seen the prequel. Yeah. But that's where they film also the scene. Big Puss trails further into Newark and ends up crashing his car. Remember, he hits a 7-Eleven clerk, and then Skip, his FBI handler, meets him in the hospital and he says, "Sal, you need to stop this." Now, also, we see that pointy orange building there with sort of the green cup on top of it. We see that in the end of season 2. Remember, at the end of season 2, Tony's mom gets arrested because he gives her those plane tickets. And Tony gets briefly hauled in for questioning. That's used as the courthouse when he gets hauled out. We see him and his lawyer exiting. However, that building is actually owned by Rutgers University, which is a local New Jersey college. The HBO did not actually get the permit to film in front of it. And the Rutgers found out about the next day and got very upset, and they were actually going to sue HBO over it. But it turned out that James Gandolfini is actually an alumni of Rutgers University. So he was able to smooth things over, thankfully, and use his connections to get them out of it. He's filled with money. And Tony walks up to the car, and he kind of looks at poor Bobby. He looks at how big Bobby is, and he makes a comment about Bobby's weight. And Bobby sort of takes it, and then as Tony walks away, he says, "It's a condition, you insensitive fuck." And they pick him up on that bridge and eventually take him home safely at the end of the episode. Now, we're going to start heading back to the van there, but also this Hampton Inn Suites. In the show, at the time they were filming there, it was actually just an empty parking lot, so you don't see much of the building itself. However, they have several meetings where Big Puss meets his FBI handler, Skip, in that particular parking lot. It actually happens 3 times, and you see the gas station right here is featured several times as a result. And you have to ask yourself, Big Puss, why would you, if you have your legitimate business across the street, why would you be meeting your FBI handler in a parking lot right there? No wonder he gets caught, right? In the show, you can't tell, of course. They actually put an orange semi-truck across the street there, completely blocking any view of the auto body shop. But this is another case where I mentioned those cluster locations. They probably had the actor Vincent Pastore, who played Big Puss, on contract for the day. They said, we're going to shoot all your scenes right over here in Harrison. So that was another way they saved time and money in the early seasons of the show. Left over there, they actually, in earlier seasons of the show, they used it for construction sites. You can't really tell anymore because those buildings have been built up. But in the first couple of seasons, they would use that for construction site scenes. Remember, they have those no work, no show jobs where we see them hanging out but not really doing any work at these places. They would film a couple of scenes over there in earlier series. You might know that there's a spin-off coming out actually in about 10 days. They have a spin-off called The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, focused on the characters Rick and Michonne. They actually came to New Jersey to film a couple of scenes here. They actually filmed several scenes here where Rick is killing walkers, right in this little complex here. And I was actually one of those walkers. So if you haven't watched that show, I might be in the first episode. You won't recognize me, of course. I look like a zombie. This is it right here, Tony B's. It was actually up for rent as of 2 months ago, but of course Tony B doesn't live there anymore. It says 513 coming up. That's where they use as the entrance to the casino. You might notice there is a hair salon / spa right here instead of a hardware store. At the time there was a hardware store. It's of course since been replaced. You might also remember in season 6 when Christopher he gets very upset at Polly's nephew, Little Polly. He throws him out of the 3rd floor of the Mancuso Casino, and Little Polly, poor guy, ends up on the street right here. He is notably in a brace for the rest of the show. They actually film a scene in front of a pond, and we see that they, as they're talking, there's a couple of ducks in the pond. They're moving in a perfect circle. Now, they didn't do this naturally. The production actually had to tie the ducks' feet to get them to do that. I like to say, if Tony Soprano knew they touched those ducks, he'd be very upset with them. But thankfully, they were all returned safely afterwards. Now, also in season 6, we see Eugene. If you remember Eugene, he's a lower-level member of the mob. We don't see a whole lot of him in the show. But in the first episode of season 6, he's heavily featured. If you remember, he wants to move to Florida because he wins a bunch of money from his dead relative. But we find out that he has other reasons for wanting to move to Florida. It turns out that he is also working with the FBI. We find out in this park, he finds out from the FBI that he's not only going to be their main witness, but he's going to have to testify very soon. So the chances of him going to Florida are not going to happen. So he finds out this very bad news here. We're going to head further up now. Usually use it also for holding for their actors in between takes. Because right next to it, that location, it might not look very familiar. We'll get closer to it in just a second. But if anyone wants to guess, if you look around, this area might look very familiar, particularly this building. Oh!
Okay.
So right here, guys, this parking lot is actually where Satriales used to be, the pork store in the show. Now, if you remember, I said that in the first episode, they did not actually use the Satriales location. They used Centani's, a different pork place. Now, Satriales was not actually a real pork store. As a result of Centani's dropping out, the Sopranos was worried that if they got another real business, that place would also drop out at some point. So they actually rented out the building that was here that was not really being used for anything, and they made it up to look like Satriales. Now, it was very confusing to the residents of Kearney because, of course, they thought they were actually getting a real pork store, so everyone got really excited, and then they realized it was just for the TV show. But now, of course, everybody's very proud of it. However, after the show finished its run, the owner of the building had no more use for it, so he sold it off. What was supposed to happen, they were supposed to make luxury condos called the Soprano. These plans never materialized, of course, and they ended up just expanding the Satriales parking lot. So this part is where the actual building would have been. Then that actual side over there is actually where the Satriales parking lot, well, it actually is the Satriales parking lot. We see it in the show as well. Whenever characters are coming in through the back door, they'll usually park their car right over there, and they'll go in through the side. Now, the owner of the building, actually, when he sold it off, though, he realized he could still make money off of it. He sold off the bricks of the Satriales building brick by brick, and you could buy them for about $80 a piece at the time, which sounds expensive for a brick. However, I met someone on this tour last year who actually owned one of them. They're worth $1,400 now. So if you're looking for an investment, drives off very drunkenly. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, Tony is back eating at Vesuvio's with his family. So things are sort of smoothed over alongside this bench. And as he's actually going to the newspaper box, we see this church, St. Cecilia's Roman Catholic Church, kind of featured. However, the church actually shows up other times in the show. It's one of the 3 churches they use for Father Phil's parish throughout the run of the show. Depending on what angles they need, they use this church as well as 2 others a little further into Jersey. In season 1, episode 6, if you remember, there's the college trip that Tony and Meadow take, and they're outside of the house for a whole night. If you remember, in the same episode, Carmela is very sick, but Father Phil comes over, they start watching movies, they get a little drunk, and they almost kiss. Nothing ends up happening because Father Phil is too drunk, he ends up throwing up in the bathroom and falling asleep. However, in the next episode, Carmela sort of wants to see what's going on there. So she shows up at the church with her plate of baked ziti. And she walks up those steps there, and as she goes into the church, she sees Rosalie April, one of her best friends, feeding Father Phil her own baked ziti like a baby. And Carmela's disgusted by this. She storms down the steps, and they put a trash can right alongside there. She dumps out the whole plate of baked ziti right there. And this sort of ends any chance of her and Father Phil getting together. And the next time she sees him, she sort of confronts him. She says, "You know, I realize you're not a very nice man. You like to take advantage of all the lonely women at the church." And she sort of psychoanalyzes him. She's like, "There's some sort of sexual food foreplay kind of thing going on here."
So you people can get in.
Across the country, and they apparently did get all those slices out for people to enjoy during the final episode. Now, depending on how you interpreted the final scene, you might have choked on that slice of pizza, but everyone got their pizza. As we pass by it, though, you'll notice they have a photo of James Gandolfini by the front window. They put that up just last year in the 10th anniversary of his passing. Oh, that's actually perfect. It's not right. If you get inside, you can see how it really is very small. A no longer operational psychiatric hospital called the Essex County Psychiatric Hospital. It's nowadays usually used for filming. And if you're a fan of the film A Beautiful Mind, it's where Russell Crowe's character, the psychiatric hospital he ends up in at the end. But if you're interested in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker film, remember that came out a couple years ago, there's a sequel to that coming out. And it was actually filming in New Jersey earlier last year. And that's actually going to be, when Joker 2 comes out later this year, you're going to see that building featured as Arkham Asylum very heavily in it. I will not spoil any more. I know many things that happen in that show. The building does not survive, is what I'm going to say. But you'll see it in 2024. Now, more on Don't Stop Believin'. So when David Chase chose that song for the last scene of the show, he had to get approval from the members of Journey, the band that made the song. Now, this should have actually been very easy. It turned out that all the members of Journey were huge fans of The Sopranos. And they got approval from most of the Journey members except for the lead singer.
This is actually insane.
How you heard when I told Jaden? Yes. What kind of tea? Do you have black, decaf, green, chai spice? Black.
And a hot dog and the onion rings.
Yeah.
How do you want your burger sauce?
Medium.
Can I have an American cheese
Yeah. Do you want a drink?
Just a Coke.
Yeah, and 2 Cokes. Yeah. Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want also like a candy one? Like and you're like, you know, like ordering or like where's the strange man? That was good, yeah.
Hold the front of the menu toward that way, so it'll be authentic.
No more onion rings, okay?
No, it's just... Camera. Very nice. I kind of want to zoom out a little bit because it's I'm getting everything, but it's a little tight.
It's like a fixed lens, so you need to like
Okay.
get it up.
Okay, I think I can do that.
You okay? Still, is a wee red light on the screen?
Second?
The wee red light, does it blink?
It's blinking.
Yeah, it's blinking. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, this was right. Okay, now I'm pressing it. Now it's not pressing anymore. I got a good amount of shots though.
Thank you so much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hope I'm doing this right.
Huh? No, you're doing it right. Just sounds right.
Is here clicking noise?
Taking a photo while the video's
Oh,
up.
okay.
Here, do one.
You want one with all of these?
We did those. Thank you, though.
Okay. That's the soprano booth, right?
I wasn't sure what's going on.
He was just getting it.
There. Do you guys also want to do like a candid one? Like, you know, you pretend you're at
It's your hot dog.
coolest thing I've ever done. Like, just hands down. Hands down, the coolest thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah, that's nice.
Want to try it?
No, Mark.
Then there's like a lot of other like random shows you've probably never heard of, but I'm trying to think. Is there like Succession? I did.
Really?
Yeah, I actually did the Succession was actually really great because I had not watched the show at that point. Then I watched it afterwards, and it turned out it was the second to last episode. You've seen the show all the way through?
No.
Okay, let me not say what it is. But it's the second to last episode. It's like the last scene of that episode. And it's a fantastic scene. So when I actually saw it, I was like, oh, it was kind of like a major scene in the show. And I had not seen it at that point, but I worked that. That was a lot of fun. It was a huge like riot scene. I'm trying to think of this. Anything you might know? Is there like shows that you like know that are like in New York that are like in the like basically anything that's in the New York, New Jersey area? I've probably done in some capacity.
Fair enough.
You're welcome.
It's okay.
Pretty surreal. Let me get one of us.
The zoom is a little intense. You're not going to get a whole lot of the restaurant. No.
That's us.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much.
If anybody had a bad Valentine's Day, there's also an Italian divorce lawyer who's on top of it. So. Janice, Tony's sister, she returns from being away for a very long time, but she doesn't want to call previous. They previously were saying this throughout the season that every day was a gift. All right, next one. Berlin City. They think that if they get rid of Christopher, Richie will promote them. Hope your Valentine's Day if you had a good one. I had a lot of fun.